Good evening, everybody. Thank you for coming to our competition night tonight. This is our next to last competition. I think we have this one tonight is open, so no themes, and then the next one will be, the theme will be silhouettes. More on that here in a moment. Huge thank you to, again, everybody who's shown up here in person. Looks like we also have a good group that's online with us here tonight. And also a huge thank you to Eric Hagemann, who's doing the judging for us tonight. More on that later, but I did want to say here real quickly that really appreciate it. He did a presentation for us probably a few months ago on March. The calendar is going by fast, I guess. Back in March, but it was on Lightroom, and some of the things that he did were just amazing. I think of myself as being fairly well versed in Lightroom, and he didn't, without even using Photoshop and so forth, he came up with some really amazing techniques and so forth in that. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and a real quick introduction to tonight's judge, Eric Hagemann. After a 36-year career in public sector engineering and organizational strategy, he's focused full-time on uncovering dynamic, thought-provoking images. Currently, interests are exploring and capturing the diverse landscapes of the Western U.S., primarily from the mountains and plains of Colorado to the arid deserts of Utah, New Mexico, and Arizona. He also specializes in black and white. I do remember that from his presentation, and also does some infrared photography. He's also been exhibiting and selling his work since 2010. He's been in galleries since 2015, participated in many local and nationwide shows. And he's been awarded the Leica Master Shot designation twice and has achieved honorable mention in PX3 and nominee status in the Spider Awards. So with that, I don't know if anybody has any questions. If not, we'll go forward with the competition. How many images do we have tonight, Jamie?
61.
61 images. Great. So once again,
And we have 2 for critique as well.
Okay. So thank you, everybody, for doing that. And also a huge thank you to Jane for putting that together. And Bruce helped out quite a bit with that as well.
We'll start out, Eric, with 2 pictures of a member that wants critique only. And this first picture is called Abstract Brutality.
This image draws me in. I don't exactly know what I'm looking at, and I think that's one of the design of the image or the creation of the image. It kind of looks like I have a skull in the middle with maybe some arms and legs coming off of it. So if it's a purely abstract image, then it's just colors and shapes that are driving. I don't have an anchor point as to, like I said, what is it that I'm looking at? If I had to critique only means I'm going to give it a score? No score. Okay. I might do a little reframing. Let's see if, yeah. Okay. The left side, the right side looks good to me. I'm seeing a structure almost like a little bit of a human here with the head and the body. So this is kind of interesting to me. I would pay attention to areas like this, and I might remove those because they're on the edge. Call that edge patrol, and just making sure that I seem to be missing something there. But I do like this center part of the image here. That's very interesting to me. I would also darken that blob on the lower side. Hopefully that's helpful.
The next critique is as an abstract, and it's called Insanity.
Okay, so I think I'm looking at some water, maybe out of focus a little bit. Interesting colors, interesting shapes. As an abstract, I struggle. I'm friends with a lot of abstract painters. And they're even in an abstract, there's usually something that's guiding me into this. So maybe what I'm missing is, if I can draw up here, something that guides me to something in the picture, either a line or an area or a theme where I'm seeing something. I could understand the title being Abstract Insanity. But I don't have like a place to look or a place of interest. So that's what I would be concerned with. I would also, darken some of the things around the edges here, maybe a little bit, so that I'm guided towards either a part of the photograph or the center of the photograph, especially this area up at the top here. That's going to also distract me.
intermediate color. And our first image is Angel of Grace.
So I think this is a really interesting image that has a lot of potential. I'm gonna give this, knowing I have to go between 5 and 10, I'm gonna give this one a 7. I like the light on the statue, kind of giving me a little extra interest. I would focus the image more on the center part of the image. I would darken the edges, something to guide me into looking at that. Whenever I look at an image, I look at the image and then I kind of look away a little bit to see what catches my eye. This one's not kind of holding me in the center when I look at it. So I would say a 7.
This one's called Black and Shiny.
Yes. So I like this image. I'm gonna give this one a 9. The only kind of critique is I would darken kind of this area of the sky a little bit to kind of bring that down and again guide me back towards center of the image. Your eye is drawn to the brightest thing in the image. That's one of the first things that we humans do. So I would use that to kind of shape what I'm looking at in the image. But I give this one a 9.
This one's called Blue Glacial Retreat.
So I'm going to give this one an 8. It's an interesting image. And I love the fact that I guess those are seals on the ice down in front. But there's nothing that kind of strikes me. It's a kind of a very documentary image, but I would look for something maybe to draw me in more as an interest. I mean, I love the color of the ice, but it also kind of appears kind of flat to me across the image edge to edge. So maybe some shaping of the light and drawing me into the center.
Cattle Trails and Cowboy Tales.
Yeah, so I really like this image. Big fan of the subject, and I think it's a wonderful capture. I'm gonna say, I don't really see anything too distracting from it. I'm gonna say an 8.
Columbine Salt Lick.
So I think these are interesting images. We all love Columbine's camera position on this one would make a big difference. I'm also going to give this one an 8. I would have put the camera lower and closer to like maybe that cluster so that I get to see them more prominently in the frame. And then I get to see the other ones kind of surrounding, and that tells a kind of a better story. So I think if the camera was maybe a foot lower and a foot closer, this would be a wonderful image. Make it a better image than it is. It's not a bad image, but
Dawn in the Kingdom of Lupine.
this is another one. I'm going to give this one a 9 because I think there's some drama in this. But again, I would have put the camera lower and just to get more, somewhere up close to some of the lupines here. Hopefully, you're getting kind of in this area up here. You're getting some glow from the sun hitting the flowers. So I would try to get something a little bit lower and make the flowers more prominent by keeping the background though. But the background does tell a nice story on this one.
Eye on the Prize.
So this is a fun image. And when I first saw it, I like it, but it's unfortunately, whatever that is, owl, I guess, on the left. Great catch of the eye, great scene. Unfortunately, and I think this was just timing or position or whatever, but if both of them were seen, I think this one gets lower, and I'm going to give this one an 8. It's the owl on the right. I want to see the face. That's what I think is missing up here. This is kind of leaves me wanting when I see that.
Green Island.
Love this image. I'm going to give, let me see, what did I say before? Yeah, I'm going to give this one a 10. The one thing, and this is just my style, I would have put an ND filter on and made that water a little smoother. But I like the light. I like how the light's hitting wherever we're going to call that. It's not quite a C stack. And I do love the color of the sky behind it. So I think this is well done.
Hunting for prey.
I'm going to give this one a 9. I think it's an awesome capture. I love, you got the catch light, you've got the face, you've got the look. The bird's going in for, looks like a meal of some kind. I like the placement of where the bird is on the frame so that you've left the, space over here where the bird's looking. So I think this is a wonderful, wonderful image. I'm gonna give, but like a 9, right?
Okay, this one's lupine taste tester.
So I like the camera's lower on this one. I think it's a great capture. The only thing that's kind of distracting for me, and I'm going to give this one an 8, is this area probably couldn't do anything with it because of either the length of the lens and the focus, appears to be on the face or the head of the deer. But I would darken this or somehow make it less prominent in the photograph. When you look at it, you're just presented with a large area of out of focus. So there's things to like take that away from the eye and make sure that the eye is focused on the prize, which is the target there.
Mi casa, tu casa.
So I struggle. I'm between an 8 and a 9. I'm going to give this one an 8. I find these doors interesting. I took a bunch of pictures when I was in Santa Fe and Taos, very, very similar to this. I think some better framing. The door looks askew. I probably would have taken a step to the left before I took it. And I might have played with darkening the image. You've got a beautiful, I think that's a light there. So there could have been some playfulness with that in the processing of the image.
Peppers number 1.
So interesting image of kind of well done with the lighting, whether I don't know if it was constant or it was flash. There's not a lot of shadows. There's a little bit of them, but I think it's a good capture. I think it's a solid in focus kind of great image. So I'm going to give this one an 8.
Go to advanced color. This one's called A Mother's Watch.
So these start to get tougher. I love this image. The subject is great. You've got a nice leading line of the stream or whatever that's in there. I'm a big fan of like shaping. You probably got that over the images that I've already talked about a little bit, but kind of more shaping your view to kind of make sure you look at the kind of the subject here. I think you have the leading line to help you with that. I would have shaped some of the light going in this. I'm resetting in this category, so I'm going to call this one an 8.
Beach Baby.
Yeah, this is a wonderful capture of the bear. I'm going to say 8 again. I would control the light a little more. I would bring a little more kind of maybe separation between the animal and the background, darkening the background a little bit.
Boasting.
Love this image. Color is fantastic. Timing is fantastic. I'm going to give this one a 10, actually. I think this is timed very well. The capture's done very well. The bird is almost razor sharp in the capture, and the background colors are just fantastic.
Funhouse.
Kind of an interesting image if you're kind of going for the abstract. I'm going to give this one an 8. What I would like to see is even in a funhouse mirror, I can kind of see something that's recognizable. If I'm standing in front of the mirror, you kind of see yourself all distorted or whatever. This is a great pattern and kind of a solid capture, but I don't see something that interests me. I would also suggest editing out. I don't know what those are, if those are vent covers or whatever, but I might make those disappear because they kind of distract me. I keep wanting to look at those two, the dots here, or the vent cover here. I might edit those out just to try. They're distracting.
I have to close my eyes for this.
Yeah, I'm going to give this one a 9. The light is great. you got the bird in good form. Somehow you managed to capture when the bird wasn't looking. That's interesting. I might, from an edit perspective, to kind of improve on it, I would do something over in this corner to darken those reeds up a little bit. Because again, when I look at the image, I look at it and I look what draws me away from the center. And so I wouldn't erase the things in this corner. I would just make them less prominent by darkening them. Same thing down here. Brightness in front of the bird is kind of okay because you're looking at the bird and where the bird's going. So this is good over here, to me. So yeah, 9.
I hope you got my good side.
Yeah, this is a fun one. Little cute guy. I'm gonna say 8. The image is a little flat. We have some light on him or her, I don't know. This area up in here, I'm seeing some light here. I'm seeing some nice texture there. I might darken this a little bit just to make that, I don't know what that is actually, animal pop out a little bit more. And make sure that what I'm seeing here is the light kind of separating them from the background.
I surrender.
Yeah, wonderful capture. Again, this is also great timing. So I'm definitely I'm gonna give this one a 9, solid 9. This is I might play with the background a little bit and kind of take it away, darken it, sorry. And I might, especially these areas up here around the edge of the photo, that's going to take you away from the center part of the photo. This is a tough one, only because I know there's a couple other ones coming up that I think are going to compete for the 10 slot.
Let's go bison.
So beautiful image. I wish the buffaloes on this side we got to see their faces. I think if they were all kind of looking at us, sunlight is great. I'm gonna give this one kind of a 9. I think there's some things to do to improve it. One would be to go have a talk with these buffaloes and tell them to turn around. The other thing that you have that I don't see kind of pulled out, which I think is an opportunity, is you have beautiful light rays here and you have beautiful light rays here that could be enhanced to kind of build into that evening, sun's behind the clouds kind of thing, to pull it out. Well, it's a great image, but I do think it could be improved. One thing, not for here, but you could also make these buffaloes disappear, and that might, I think that would actually make it a stronger image because you wouldn't be looking at the rear ends of the buffaloes that are over in that corner. So
My uniform still fits.
yeah, so this is a fantastic portrait, and I'm going to give this one a 10. I'm struggling to find something kind of wrong with this image, if you will. I think it's beautifully done. It's beautifully lit. You have a great subject. I think you have a wonderful story in his face. So yeah, wonderful picture all around.
New York food carts.
So when I first saw this, it's interesting. I love the colors. I love the look of the people here. I think the guy in the middle here, kind of facing the camera, makes it work. You've got the person on the bike that I imagine is looking at their phone, trying to figure out what's going on. The colors are kind of wonderful in this image. I don't know if I'm looking at whether this part of the image was made black and white or was it just that color because of the way the light was hitting this. I think this is a solid 9 image. Okay.
Strolling through the park.
So I'm going to say a 9. If the deer was looking at you or me or us, I think that would have made it a little bit better. I think you've got wonderful color on the rocks up here. It's an evening, kind of lit. I would also, and again, you couldn't control this from where maybe the deer was at the time, but the sun is playing very nice up on the trees here. But I think the deer is in kind of shadow from this plant that's there. So I think a couple of those things would have made it a better.
Sun's final glow.
Yeah, really, really like this one. I think I'm going to give this one a 9. I don't quite know what this is. I'm actually interested later on. Somebody can tell me if this is the castles or not, or part of the castles. Is kind of the only, I don't know. The thing I would look at is like maybe the taking the blue down a little bit around here. I mean, the way the sun's hitting this, the direction of the sun is great. The color on the rocks is great. It's a great place image. But I feel like I want to do something with the sky though. And I think you could improve this with maybe a little post-processing.
The E train.
So I think this is an interesting image. I'm going to give this one an 8 though. It's a kind of like I was there image. Think I know, slow shutter, you're showing the motion of the people getting on and off the train. I would like to see the train a little sharper if I was trying to draw that contrast. I'm a little, the train is also a little, I want to say out of focus, but it's a little fuzzy to me. So I would like to see a better contrast if I was trying to show the motion of the people getting on the train. I'd like to see the train a little clearer. So I'm going to give this one an 8.
The Painter's Canyon.
Nice image, nice capture, nice leading lines. I'm going to give this one an 8. It's a I was there image. I think you could elevate it with I would have thrown an ND filter on or a stronger ND filter on to smooth the water, and maybe focus on kind of bringing up the glow of the canyon a little bit more, adding a little more color back into it. Wonderful capture on the rainbow though.
Okay, so we have 2 10s in this category. This one here
I'm gonna have to go with the portrait.
and the portrait.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think the portrait was very well done.
Pro color. And this one's called Guardian of the Danube.
So I'm gonna reset myself again. So I'm gonna go back, and this one I'm gonna give an 8. It's kind of, I don't know what I'm looking at. The sky kind of tells me I'm here in the afternoon, but the processing of the bridge looks like it's very much in the middle of the day, which is not, I get it. You take a picture when you're there, but it looks kind of overly bright to me. So I may have, if I was processing, I'd try to do something with the bridge to kind of bring it down a little bit. Looks a little aggressive and a little bright. But the sky is interesting to me because there's color in the sky, and and the sun's coming from the left. So I'm trying to make sense of that. So I'm going to give that an 8.
Hall of the Guards.
So I'm going to give this one a 9. I think there's some potential here. I think there's some light rays that are coming in off that window. I believe I'm seeing a reflection here of the water. And there's also light rays in here. So if I was going to offer some thoughts and suggestions, I might darken the whole image a little bit and then highlight it where the light is coming in to kind of give it more drama.
Kissed by the Sunlight.
Yeah, very interesting image. So I'm going to go for a 9. I think there's a little bit more you could pull out with the contrast and the light hitting the dunes or whatever the structures are, and highlighting some of those features. It's just a little bit more post-processing, I think, that would make this a better image.
Mayan.
Super fan of these images. I'm going to give this one a 9 again. Only suggestion probably would be darkening the sky a little bit, maybe highlighting the building a little bit more. The Mayan theater-ish kind of building, and then maybe darkening just a little bit, just to make sure that my eye doesn't wander off and start to think about what looks like the apartment building kind of next door. It's tough shooting in kind of a crowded environment. So we'll give this one a 9.
This one's called Short Beach Starfish.
Struggle with this one a little bit. I'm going to say 8. And the reason I want the camera to be a little lower. I want the starfish to be kind of more prominent in this image, and then maybe a little bit, actually even more colorful. Having seen starfish in images like this, kind of my expectation is that they would be kind of more prominent and more colorful to kind of draw my eye into this. I do like that you're showing the whole kind of look of the image and you're giving the sense of the background. So it's not just if you had cut the image here, I don't think that would have been the right thing to do. I like the fact that you're creating the depth in the image. I just want to be more closer to the starfish up front.
Strike a pose, flamingo.
Yep. And I like this one. I'm actually going to give this one a 10 for a couple of reasons. One is I think it's perfect timing. I love the water. I love the pose. I actually like the color control, whether it was this way or not, whether you created it in post or enhanced it in post. You're almost kind of opposite on the color wheel a little bit. You've got color temperature working for you. Humans prefer warm red, yellow things, and then the blue in the background just takes it away. So that really makes the flamingo stand out. So give this one a 10.
We're going to go to black and white, beginner, intermediate. This one's called Blown Away.
So I can tell you before I get into all the black and whites, there's a number of great shots in all of these groupings in here. I'm gonna, just because I know what's coming, I'm gonna give this one a 9. If I had anything to do, one of the pieces of advice I would give you is edit your clouds. I would like clean these off so that there's no chance that your eye is going off the frame. The other thing I would suggest is darkening the sky just a little bit to have the contrast difference between the mountain and the sky. But I'm a big fan of cloud editing to hold your interest in.
Breaching Titan.
So I think dynamically, this is a great shot. The water capture, the whale. I think there's a solid beginning here. What I don't know, and so I'm going to give this one an 8. What I don't know is it looks really crunchy to me. This area up here, and all the bits of the water, and it may be just the way the light was coming, the where you were, but it also looks like it could have been over sharpened and over processed a little bit. So I would work on that as a way to improve this.
Catch of the day.
So I'm going to give this one an 8. The part I like is that the subject is well separated from the background. But what I'm also seeing in the background is I'm seeing some light areas, and I would expect to see that on the subject as well. So the subject kind of looks flat to me. It's an interesting image, but all of the subject kind of looks like it's lit fairly flat. I think you could bring some more intrigue into it by either enhancing what was there or creating some additional dodging and burning on that.
Chew and view.
So this one is an 8. I think it's a great capture. My suggestion would be to darken this, darken the sky a little bit, just to make the giraffe stand out. I think you could, I think that would enhance the image.
Chilchabalm 1.
I'm going to give this one an 8. So these are tough images because there's so much going on and there's so much texture, and this is appears flat to me. So there's a couple things that I would point out. First of all, the sky, the clouds are blown out, and maybe they're not blown out in the original, but they're certainly looking blown out. this area on the screen here looks like they're clipped. When I get down into the base of the image, what I'm trying to understand is like, how do I go through the valley? What should I be looking for? I kind of see a path in here. I might see a waterfall here. So I think you could darken some of this and then relight some of the things that would take my eye into the image there. It's very flat. The light over here and the light over here look very much the same to me. And I don't think that's what's actually happening. I think the sun is coming in from this direction. So I would expect maybe this to be lighter and then the part on the left to be darker.
Crosses.
Love this church. It was just there a couple months ago. I think this is a solid capture. I'm going to give this one a 10. If I had to offer a suggestion, it would just be to make the sky just a tad darker. But this is a great capture. Hopefully you got the backside of the church as well, which is the famous Ansel Adams capture of this.
5 heads are better than 1.
So I'm going to go with a 9. I love the capture. It's sharp. You've got the main flower in the center there. I might try to tone. I know this is a black and white image, so this might be a little tough, but I might try to tone the centers of the flowers just a little bit different than the petals. And then the other thing that I'm like, my eye is being sucked to on the left is this black thing, right? Lighten it or kind of clean it up so that I'm not drawn away. What happens is I look to the flower and then I know there's this thing in the lower corner and my eye wants to go there.
This one's called Iceberg with a Leak.
Yeah, so I think this is a solid 8, right? Again, it tells me you were there and you were capturing it. I've got some nice texture going on, but I think there's some more in kind of the post that you could do to highlight this. I'm also a little curious. I don't know if it's the screen or what, but if this is presented in a black and white, this area over here looks a little red to me. Maybe it's just on the monitor I'm looking at, so don't take that. But it looks a little magenta-ish red over in this corner here.
This one's called Osprey Acrobat.
Okay, so I'm going to give this one an 8. I think it's an interesting capture, but the processing is super crunchy. And I'm kind of curious if this was like a really cropped in image, because I'm even seeing pixelation in the sky areas up here. I would also suggest that I edit for shapes, and I probably would take that branch out over there because it's kind of confusing. It's telling me that there's another tree over there, but I don't see the tree. I just see a few things from the tree. So I would, if I was going to edit this, I would probably take that out and shape it more. But really, this one it's really, really crunchy. And to me, there's also a halo around the bird, which also kind of tells me maybe it's been over sharpened.
Shadows of the Velvet.
Love this image. I'm actually going to give this one a 10. The only suggestion I would have for improvement would be, I think you could get rid of that deer, and I think you would have a stronger story in the image.
The King's Call.
Yeah, so fantastic image. I'm going to give this one a 10 as well. If I had to make any suggestion, it would be just to darken this just a little bit, again, to make him pop out from the background, just a little bit more.
This one's called Treading Water.
I'm going to say an 8. I I love the little guys. I love that I could see his paws or whatever those are called, his front flippers and his back flippers. But I want to be drawn more into the center of the image to see the animal. I would have loved to be maybe a little bit lower, which if this was a spontaneous shot, maybe that wasn't available. And then I would shape the outside of this with some tonal adjustments or whatever to kind of draw me in. I like how this is darker up here, and that brings me back to the subject in the middle. But I would suggest that for the other side.
Okay, so we have 3 10s.
Yep.
We have the crosses. And we have the shadows of the velvet and the King's Call, the blue ones here.
So I'm going to go with the deer, the shadows of the velvet. I think it's a spectacular shot.
We're now going to do advance black and white. And this one's called Connect the Dots.
Yeah, I love these kind of detail shots with the, I'm guessing oil or something, maybe a little rust on there. It's kind of abstract. This is getting into a tough territory though, so I'm gonna give this one an 8. So I like the bolts. I'm confused with what that is. I know it was in, I mean, it's in the image, but if you're kind of going for just the highlights of the bolts and the dripping, this kind of doesn't make sense to me. So that's why I give it an 8.
Dipping.
I'm going to give this one a 9. The only thing I think that would have improved it is if you were like half a second either earlier or later, where maybe his beak or its beak wasn't buried in the water, was just maybe entering the water or coming out of the water. I think a little bit on the timing would have done it. But I do like how it's processed. I do like there's great contrast difference between here and here. The bird stands out. Yeah, wonderful.
And this one's called Distant Gaze.
Yeah, so I like, this is a 10. I love the darkness. There's no doubt as to what you're looking at in this photograph, and the light is hitting them at a nice angle. So yeah, beautiful shot.
Flying to the Light.
So I'm going to say kind of a 9. It's a 9. The nitpicks I would have with this are there's something happening here that needs to go away. There's just like a white edge there that either a slightly different crop or you can clone stamp it out. And then I like the light rays, but they don't look natural. So to me, the light rays should kind of maybe fan out a little more. These look like brush strokes.
Follow the Leader.
Yeah, wonderful capture. I like the contrast. I might try to darken the background just a little bit, so that you have this area is kind of tough. But I mean, it's such a cute shot of mom and 2 cubs. But I might play with the background and draw that down. So I gave you a 9, right? Oh, I
Okay.
didn't give you a 9.
You
Okay,
can give me a 9.
I'm going to give this one a 9. Yeah.
Getting a Leg Up.
I'm going to give this one an 8. And the reason I'm going to give it an 8 is I believe, again, it might be my monitor. Maybe it's slightly better up there, but I think we're blown out on the back of the bird here. So there's no texture that I can see there. And so one of the things you can do is you can clone stamp over with feathers from the other part of the bird. It's just when you end up with a big white area that has no texture in it, that's kind of tough. And then I would suggest just kind of darkening the back a little bit, just again to make the bird pop a little more.
Homestead of the Tetons.
So I like the image. Actually going to give this one an 8. And there's two things that I'm going to suggest. I've actually probably have the same image. I would actually cut the image here, and either kind of make it a panorama or maybe a 3x2, because I don't think the upper part of the sky kind of adds. And then I would, and I know they're in shadow, but I would do a little bit to bring out the Grand Teton itself, because that would make it recognizable to people. I think people are familiar with what that mountain looks like. And I might play around with this one a little bit. It's tough though, because I know you're in the shadow of doing that, but I might focus on those two to kind of bring them out a little bit. And I'm guilty of the same thing. Sometimes I put way too much sky in. This one's a 10. I love the clarity, the capture, the angle, the eyeball is super crisp on this. So I think this one's well done.
This one's called Morning Flight.
Okay, so I like the image. I think the crop is great. I'm a big fan of bird pictures, but in a landscape setting, right? Which is what you have here. I'm going to give this one a 9. What I would suggest doing is trying to add contrast back into the birds. I would make the birds just a little darker, so that they give you a solid anchor point to look at in the image. I don't think you have to worry about them on the bottom part over here. I think those are fine because those are reflections from the water. But trying to bring out the contrast there would give me an anchor point to look at.
Solitude beneath a gathering sky.
Yeah, so I think I'm going to say 9 on this one. If I was doing this, I would crop that out. I think you have enough in the image between the tree and these kind of wispy, wavy clouds. When we introduce I don't even know what kind of clouds those are, but the more rough clouds up front, you kind of confuse me a little bit. I think this would be a wonderful image with just the lower half there.
Stepping into the light.
So I'm going to say 8. I think I know what you're going for. I think the image would be stronger if you were standing here, and you had a better angle where they were actually walking into the light that's coming on the side here. This one kind of looks like you came around the corner, you saw them walking up. So it was kind of more like you're there image than actually stepping into the light, trying to do a fan ho. Right. Thank you. Right. I think the angle would have made it a little bit better. Which, by the way, that fan ho image was totally staged.
The Silent Sentinel.
I like this one. I think it's a really great capture. The sky kind of makes it. What I'm struggling with a little bit is I see a little bit here and a little bit here. So I'm going to be really picky. I'm going to give this one a 9. I see there's some halos there. I think there might be a halo here. I would work on the sky. I would darken it a little bit. And even if it wasn't a halo, if it was naturally in the photograph, I would darken the areas around the building because it does kind of look like a halo to me. And that to me is a giveaway of you're over processing it.
Voices of the past.
This is a great image. I'm going to give it an 8. What I'd like to see, the humans here are not in focus. I couldn't, when I saw this in the beginning, it kind of looks like the altar is the focus point here. So I think if you're telling a story, you would make the humans more of the story as they're in church, experiencing that, or you make the church the story. And then I almost don't want the humans in there. So I'm struggling between those two as to what the intent of the photograph was.
Way out.
Like this image, I think this is a interesting image. I love the fact that it's split, that I can see the person here, the person here. I have the signs. So I think this was kind of the classic street kind of photography using the mirror. Right. It starts to make me think about what's going on and whatnot. So I'm going to say 9. The only thing that's a little funky about this image is I wish this guy was either not in the image or he was sitting down. But the fact that you caught him kind of, I don't know if he's getting up or whatnot, but he's kind of confusing me on that. I think the main subject, being the gentleman here, is great. So I'm going to give this one a 9.
Hey, you have 2 10s. And it's the 2 blue ones there.
Yeah, that's tough. I'm gonna go with the frog.
We're going to go to pro black and white. And the first one is Fading Dancer.
Okay, so I'm gonna, these are tough because a lot of these are really great images. I'm gonna give this one a 9. I want to see the tree centered, and I want to see a little more contrast in the trunk of the tree. When I think about this image printed and on a wall and somebody looking at it, I think I need to give them something more to anchor their eyes to. So I don't know that I get to see like a zone 0 or a zone 1 in this image in terms of darkness. So I would try to do something in the trunk of the tree to bring that out.
This one's called Goat Island Lighthouse.
Yeah, so I'm going to do a 9 on this one as well. I get that this is the subject. My recommendation would be to add some texture to this and maybe a little contrast. It appears that maybe the whole scene was a little foggy. I do love the smooth water, bridge in the background, but it's kind of flat in that I can't really tell, is the lighthouse close to the bridge or far away from the bridge. I get the hint that it's far away because I see this and I can start to kind of mentally go through that. But I think you could increase the contrast on that and then give it some texture. Texture is something else that you can use to draw the viewer's attention to the subject. But I do also, I do like that this was, you gave the whole kind of panorama view here. I think somebody else may just want to chop it here, and I think that would destroy this image just by doing that.
Intimidating.
Love this image. I was just there about a month or 6 weeks ago. You got better skies than I did. I love the processing. I'm really, the shadows on the structure here. These are all great. If I had a nitpick to it, to give this one a 10, right? Let's give this one a 10. I would have taken a step to the left so that this I think that's a little imbalanced. And then again, I don't know. I'm detecting a little bit of a halo just around that edge a little bit. So things to improve on, but I think it's well done.
Memorial.
This is another 10. This is a fantastic image. There's a huge story being told here. I hope that was your intent. Right, you have the memorial that you're not designed to see into, but catching these buildings being reflected on here was fantastic. Just absolutely fantastic. If I had to nitpick, I might clean off some of this, looks like plants or trees reflecting over here. But yeah, I think this is just a kind of a moving image, especially if you know where it's at. And of course, we're coming up on September 11th. So
Okay. Peekaboo Mountains.
I'm going to give this one a 9. And I love these images. I think you have great texture in the trees here. So that's wonderful. To me, these are timing issues that I'm going to talk about here. Like, I really wish I saw the edge a little bit better. So I don't know if you would have waited 10 seconds, 20 seconds, and if this was moving, you might have gotten a different version of that with the mountain kind of more defined in the center there. That would be my nit on that one. And then I would also darken down these up front. You can't get rid of them. There's no way you're going to get rid of them. But my eye is focused on the mountain, which is what's drawing my attention, which I think is great. I love the clouds. You've got the nice framing going with the trees, but then my eye gets drawn down to that lower corner because they're lighter in color, or I mean in tone, than the intermediate, right? So drive your viewer to the point of the image.
Something wicked this way comes.
Yeah, this is a super fantastic image. And what I'm seeing is this, it's on my screen, it looks sharp edge to edge. I'm seeing texture. I'm seeing almost like the veins of Factory Butte kind of coming out from that. It almost looks like you make the butte like it's emerging from the ground and it's dragging these tentacles behind it. I can kind of tell that story. This is a 10 image to me. The only like nitpick stuff is I would check around the top. There's a little bit of a halo up there. And I don't know if it would work out, but I would suggest playing with, this is rain that's going on here. So you might be able to emphasize the fact that you've got like a storm, not just storm clouds over the butte, but you've got an actual storm kind of in the background. You could probably play around with the tones down there to bring that out. But I love this image.
Okay. And that is the end.
Oh, we had 3 times.
Yeah, you had 3 10s, I think, in this. Yeah.
Oops, and I didn't mark that 10.
So intimidating.
Intimidating, the memorial, and this one.
It's tough. I'm going to go with the memorial. Simply because I think there's a story there. I hope that was the intent of the photograph, but it's a tough choice. Yeah, great set of images. A lot of tough choices. Hopefully you guys turn the lights on and nobody's standing with a pitchfork behind you.
Yeah, thank you, everybody, for submitting, and thank you, a great commentary tonight, great feedback.
Have a good night, everybody.